Kind of like I was talking about with the Rashid thing. I think it's just, I know Harrison. I've known him for 7 years, and I judge him by the character that he shows every single day, and that's a good person. That's someone who cares about the people around him, cares about his family, and wants to make a good impact in society. There's certain things that he said that I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand the person that he is, and he's trying to do whatever he can to lead people in the right direction, and that might not be the same values as I have, but at the same time, I'm going to judge him by the character that he shows every single day, and that's a great person, and we'll continue to move along and try to help build each other up to make ourselves better every single day. But at the end of the day, we're going to come together as a team, and I think that'll help out as well as eliminating those distractions outside the building as well.
You know, I remember with some of the various things that have caused teams to shy away from certain players, the justification is you don't want all of his teammates to be asked about it. That's the kind of distraction that can make a team say, we don't really want that guy on the team, because if we sign that guy, then everybody's going to have to answer these questions. Well, a lot of people in Kansas City haven't answered the questions about Harrison Butker's comments. That was Patrick Mahomes talking about what Butker had to say. Apparently, at some point, Mahomes also suggested some of the things that Butker said were taken out of context. Some would say if you look at the whole context, it makes it actually worse, not better. We've posted previously the entire text of what Butker said at Benedictine College earlier this month at PFT. You can find it very easily on Google if you don't find it at PFT. But look, it's his teammate. And yes, how people act when they interact with each other may be different than their secretly held views that aren't so secret when they give a commencement speech and share them with the world. And it's reasonable to agree or disagree. I don't have a problem with what Mahomes said. Mahomes is trying to hold his team together.
That's
right. And he likes the guy. And look, this kind of gets into what Andy Reid said, and we're going to let you hear that in a minute. But the idea is we all have our opinions. We all have our beliefs. Football is about guys who come together from all sorts of different backgrounds and upbringings and experiences, and you find a way to make it work. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, you know, the Chiefs, one of the things I think we both like about them is, you know, they don't shy away from stuff like this, right? You know, I think that's another thing. I mean, you know, I feel like a lot of teams in history might have been like, well, I'm not going to answer or speak for Harrison. You got to talk to Harrison about this. And they would have just left it at that. You know, they're this is where you talk about culture, right? The Chiefs won. Hey, they're not scared to take some chances on some personalities, as we know, good or bad. We got that. They're not. But they believe in that their culture and that some of the players they got there and their love for the football and the energy that Andy and some of his guys can bring to the table every day, that'll bring everybody together and make them, you know, better at football and better as people all together. And they stick up for each other. And we know that. I mean, this is a team that's dealt with, a lot of, you know, I know it's been greatness, winning Super Bowls and all that, but I could also name 3 or 4 things of turmoil that we could bring up and go, they handle this stuff pretty well. Where you'd go, wow, I forgot that happened or this happened or, yeah, that's kind of semi-dysfunctional. And they're still damn good. They're good at handling this type of stuff, right? And I will agree with Mahomes. Again, that is part of locker room life, right? Like, I think Harrison Butker's comments are bullcrap. That's what I'll say. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think, like, Harrison Butker's the worst human in the world or anything like that. You know, I think there's a good chance I could like him too. But if I was in the locker room, I'd be like, man, you're crazy. I got a young daughter. She's aspiring to be blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. She's not trying to be no housewife, buddy. Sorry. You know, I don't agree with you there. My Aunt Wendy, you know my Aunt Wendy. Damn, she's a self-made businesswoman. It's disrespectful to her. But it doesn't mean I have to hate Harrison Butker, and he could agree with him on 99 other subjects. And I think that is the beauty of the locker room. And Mahomes is trying to say, hey, this guy is a pretty good dude every day. And he made some comments that I don't agree with, but it's still a pretty good dude, and I just don't agree with that little aspect of his thought process, and that's fair.
There is a specific problem, though, of being a kicker, a punter, a long snapper, and being in anything like this.
That's
Bill Parcells.
Yes.
Bill Parcells would have cut Harrison Butker.
I'm glad.
Cut him.
Well, yeah, I'm glad the Harrison Butker's special, right? He's special. He's a damn good kicker. He's one of the best kickers in football, if not the best. I mean, he's up there. Just set
but
the
Bill
record.
Parcells doesn't. Bill
No,
Parcells. You know
you're
Parcells.
right.
He does not want to hear anything from punter, kicker, long snapper.
Definitely not. Definitely not. And this is you know what keeps coming to my head with this that I'm going to be really interested in? Harrison Butker, as we know, is clutch as hell, right? Longest field goal in Super Bowl history just this past year when he was like slipping on the ground and it was an incredible kick. But the name that keeps coming to my head, to your point, is Vanderjack, right? That in Indianapolis. This is what happened to him. He spoke out, and it wasn't against something about our society, but he spoke out against Peyton, remember? And then Peyton went on the Pro Bowl and Dungy. And then Peyton went on the Pro Bowl and said, this is crazy that I got to talk about my kicker who got liquored up and said a bunch of crazy stuff. Right, liquored up kicker. Yep. And what happened? The spotlight was on Vanderjagt that next year, and he crapped the bed one time after another, and he couldn't handle the pressure. And that's what I worry about with Harrison Butker, because now he's going to walk on every field, and he's going to hear people boo him and all that kind of crazy crap, and there is going to be a different type of pressure surrounding him.
The yips are never that far away. Look at Blair Walsh. He misses the chip shot that would have delivered a playoff win for the Vikings, and he was never the same after that, ever the same after that.
Yeah.
Here's Andy Reid, coach of the Chiefs, on the Harrison Butker comments.
Yeah, listen, I talk to Harrison all the time, so that's not. I think I didn't talk to him about this. Didn't think we need to. We all get along. We all respect each other's. Opinions, and not necessarily do we go by those, but we respect everybody to have a voice. It's a great thing about America, man, and we're just, like I said, a microcosm of that. And I wish, my wish is that everybody could kind of follow that. So
with so many women just on staff here and in the building, his comments kind of touched on women in the workforce. What do you tell them if they come to you with a concern about players speaking ill of women in general?
Yeah, that hasn't happened. I don't think he was speaking ill to women, but he has his opinions, and we all respect that. I let you guys in this room, and you have a lot of opinions that I don't like. So.
We love Andy Reid. Could end up being the greatest coach of all time. Could break every record. Quietly. It's something that people aren't paying attention to. He could pass Belichick. He could pass Shula. He could win more Super Bowls than Belichick by the time it's all said and done. That yesterday, it was dismissive to the point of flippant.
Well, what? Just like the last comment there? The last comment.
Yeah,
I got. Okay.
That was kind of a thud. Let me take it a step farther.
Yeah.
When he's asked, what would you say to women in the building who might express concerns, he dismissed that by saying that hasn't happened. Well, Coach, maybe it hasn't happened because they kind of know what you're going to say. They kind of know you're going to say, oh, he wasn't trying to speak ill of women. They kind of know that it's going to fall on deaf ears if they come to you. And that's why it's important in every organization to have structures in place where people who do feel uncomfortable about something like this have a way to address it, have the conversation, and not feel like they're having the door kind of slowly closed on them and they just want to be done with this and move on. And again, I say that from a place of having a ton of respect for Andy Reid, but at the same time, through those comments, I got the impression he just wants to close the door on this and move on.
Well,
and it's a non-issue, and we just want to move on. And maybe the strategic purpose is, I don't want my kicker getting the yips. Maybe that's what it is. I got a good kicker, and I don't want him getting the yips, so this is a non-issue. It's not an issue. Quit talking about it. We're allowed to have different opinions. This is America. Quit talking about it because I don't want my kicker to have the yips.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's part of it. More importantly, I just think as a head coach, he's just trying to squash it all together. He's just trying to, not let this thing blow up or fan the flames or anything like that. He doesn't need to, half the Kansas City fan base in Taylor Swift's corner and the other half in damn Harrison Butker's corner. He's got to watch out here a little bit. So, yeah. And, I understand what you're saying about the last comment there. And you're right. He probably could have done without that. But he was just trying to make a point that, hey, it's America and there's opinions out there that we don't all agree with, right? And maybe could have been a hair more tasteful with that. I get it.
But this is different.
It is different. Yeah. I know.
Whether or not you should have gone for it on fourth down is different from the things Butker said, because some people look at what Butker said.
Yes.
And they will say,
right,
it's not just a difference of opinions. He's got hate speech kind of drive-by, softened, but the concepts he's hinting at are foundations of hateful attitudes
Yes.
toward those who are different from us or
Yeah,
those who would live
right.
differently than we would. That's where it becomes not just, I don't like your opinion about whether we
I
should
hear
have
you.
kicked a field goal there.
You're right. You're
That's
right about
where
that.
it
One's
doesn't work.
football,
So,
one's compartmentalizing our social structure in America, and there is a difference there. There's no doubt. And your point about, hey, yeah, there's probably female employees and all that. And in the building, we know that. I've been in that building a lot of times. They're great. Yeah, they know, they don't want to ruffle feathers. They're not going to go up to Andy Reid and be like, oh, I can't believe
Can you imagine that?
All right, so
Can you imagine that?
but at the same time, I've been in that building to know, man, is it some great environment? And I do know I've been around Andy Reid for, it seems like half my life now. And I know what kind of human he is. And he does care for people. And the people in that building care for people. There's a tough situation. And, it's hard to speak correctly about everything when you're commenting about stuff like this.
The people who are concerned about it, who work for the Chiefs, man or woman, they need to be able to raise it with someone and have their opinions heard. And what I heard yesterday is, let's just move on. Let's move on. We need to move on, but before we do, Roger Goodell addressed it as well yesterday, and basically he had nothing to add beyond the comment that the league issued last week. Basically, we have diversity of opinions. There are 3,000 employees, just like America does. That's something we treasure. And I am perfectly fine with that. I am fine with saying we respect all opinions, free speech rules. You can express whatever viewpoint you want, as long as everyone who wears number 7 gets to do that. That's my only caveat, right?
Yeah. No, again, it's a tough line to balance, a tightrope here, and yeah, he's got a great kicker. He's trying not to divide his locker room. He's trying to say the right things and do the right things, but at the end of the day, he wants what you just said. He wants, the Roger Goodell, Andy Reid, all of that. They want this done. They want this out of here, and they're trying to just squash it because I don't think there's anything good that can come of this conversation for the league as a whole.
No, and I know there's nothing good that can come of this conversation as it strays into Colin Kaepernick territory, because talk about people getting triggered. You just mention his name, and I'll get 50 emails saying, you're still talking about Colin Kaepernick. But the bottom line is this. He was expressing an opinion during something that is completely unrelated to the playing of a football game. He was fully within his rights. He was fully within the letter of the law, the policy on the books, and he didn't get the same consideration, I would say, that Harrison Butker did. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.